You might have noticed over the months or years here on Weekly 50 that a lot of my photos are kind of inanimate objects. And recently there is a photo of a distinct lack of wildlife. It was a feather because I couldn't take a picture of a bird. So I thought, well, the next best thing is a feather. I'm not, I'm not a wildlife photographer. I'm just not. I'm I don't have the gear for it. I don't have the eye for it. I don't have the patience for it, to be honest. The closest I get to wildlife is Theta Pond on the OSU campus, and that's just squirrels and geese and ducks, maybe a turtle. And I've taken some photos of those over the years, and it's fine. Like I'm not. That's not my thing. That's partly something to that I've learned over the years as a photographer. It's fun to try, and I'm not saying I'm never capable of capturing a wildlife photo. It's just not my thing. But there's always exceptions, such as what you have here. Now, these squirrels are really skittish, as most squirrels are. They're maybe a little more used to people because they're around students walking around all day, but often what happens if you see a squirrel near Theta Pond and try to take its photo, unless you have a super telephoto lens, like here it was my D750 and my macro lens. That is not a good wildlife combination, not for something like this. But that was the camera I had with me. And so I had to get close to the squirrel. Well, that's difficult when they're kind of skittish and they always run away and then run up a tree, and then they just evade you because squirrels have like plus 20 dexterity. But this one did kind of poke its head out, and this is one of those like split second. I mean, I promise you, I spent no time setting this up. I was slowly walking around this big tree, and this squirrel had gone around it, but for whatever reason, it decided to come back and take a quick peek at me. And in like a second, I like raised my camera, fired off one, maybe two shots, and then it ran away. And I just so happened to get it right. I promise you, this is not my forte. It's not, this is an accident, but it worked out pretty well. I shot this at a 5.6. I was far enough away. I cropped in just a little bit. It's not a big crop, but I did crop a little bit. Shot this at 180th of a second, ISO 400, because why worry about ISO when the camera can just do it for you? What I needed was, I didn't have time to set the aperture, but I had already set it so that I knew that if the squirrel did come around, I would want it about an f5.6 aperture. And it did, and it worked. Not much movement, but you never know. I wanted to capture movement anyway, so I had a decently fast shutter. Although if there was actual movement, there's no way it would have froze the action. I think what I liked most is the eyes are super in focus, and I really like the pose of the squirrel. My son said he looks like Superman. I keep saying this. I'm not trying to diminish the photo. It's just I can't stress how serendipitous this was. I did not plan this at all, but it was a super fun image to be able to capture. And thank you, Mr. Squirrel. I appreciate you hanging out on that tree and letting me take your photo.